Hey, young world. What's going on out there? This is my third post. I'm sorry. This is my fifth post. Last week was number four. This is number five. Huh. I'm behind. Anyway, um, so here's what I've been thinking about this week, and here's what I've been working on. Um, it's it was kind of a crazy week for me. I'll start off with the fact that it's April 12th, and I'm in New Jersey, and there was snow on the ground this morning. So I was shocked that there was snow this late into April, mid-April, um, snow on the ground. So April is a interesting month in the Northeast, and I think the further north you go, obviously, the more snow they got. So anyway, it's crazy that the trees are starting to bloom and the flowers are blooming, and yet there's snow on the ground. So crazy world we live in. But the main reason the main topic of today is basically getting to what I've been working on with my coach. I have a coach, and she helps me with my mindset. She helps me with the way I think, the patterns, all that kind of stuff. And it's really really helpful to me. It's great because I've always read about a lot of these things that I'm working on, and it was really hard to put into practice. It was really hard to land sort of on how to actually take it from like theory to practice, and that's exactly what the weekly coaching does for me. At least it gives me like goals and gives me things to work towards. Helps me set up like what's important to me, and then helps me understand why I act the way I act and why I do the things I do. And the main thing that I wanted to talk about this week was that situations are never good or bad. The situation itself, the facts of the situation, are completely neutral. They're not good, they're not bad. We go back and we put labels on it, and we make these things good or bad. I remember one time I was talking with my coach about an email that I got, and I was like, oh, my boss is coming down on me, he's yelling at me, and read the email to her, and she was like, I don't see that at all. I don't think that's it at all. And I think there was something before that happened that I thought like sort of carried over into the email, and it didn't. So an outside perspective was completely neutral. Like there was no emotion in it, or there was no my boss taking a dig at me. It was just kind of he was asking me to do something, just instructions really, and question and instruction. So it wasn't what I made it out to be, and I did that. I made it this negative thing, or this thing that was like he's coming down on me, he's coming after me, blah 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 blah. So that was one of the first things that I kind of came to the awareness of or understanding of, that these situations are like we put this filter, we put this story together about what happens, and then we keep playing that story back over and over again. And that's really what causes a lot of suffering and a lot of problems and a lot of harm, is especially for the bad ones. I don't know about everyone else, but for me, the bad ones usually stick, and the bad ones are usually the ones that I replay over and over again in my head. This really came to like the forefront of my world, especially I got divorced 10 years ago, and during that divorce, it was like really emotional and upsetting, and I was concerned about my family. I was concerned about my children. I was concerned about just how life was going to go after this like separation. And I was married for 10 years, and then I got separated. So I was really emotionally charged, as I would imagine a lot of people are. but I was emotionally charged, and I was going in to talk to my lawyer, and I was bringing all this emotional stuff, and he was basically like, yeah, well, first of all, New Jersey is like a no fault state, so it doesn't really matter if there was something that happened that was wrong, or that was uh, what I thought was negative, and I thought was a problem. Um, but New Jersey is a no fault state, so it doesn't really matter. And anyway, my lawyer also said to me that anything that I'm saying or bringing up is irrelevant to sort of the divorce and the proceedings and everything like that, and the judge is not going to care uh, at all about any of the stuff that I was bringing up and talking about and trying to like make my case about. And I was shocked about this. And my point is, I learned at that point to sort of differentiate between like facts and emotions, and also if you think like a lawyer would, which is like lawyers take the emotion completely out of the equation and just deal with the facts and deal with the argument and the logic and all that sort of stuff. So the emotions and the that stuff that makes you really charged, and for me it was completely like pissed off and angry, didn't have a place in that proceeding. As much as I thought it did, and as much as I was, hurt and whatever by what happened, it didn't really have an effect on the outcome. So that's when I learned to sort of separate the two, and I think it's an important lesson to be able to separate that, because a lot of times the emotions, like in your mind, at least in my mind, I turn them into facts. I turn them into that's the story. I turn them into that's the truth. That's what's happening, and it's really difficult to remain calm and sort of to the point of my coach is like stay neutral. It's hard to stay neutral when you're charged like that, or you're like feel like you've been wronged or pissed off or angry or upset or disappointed or whatever the emotion is. It's hard to stay neutral when that is in the equation. That makes you not neutral. That makes you very, very like opinionated, charged, angry, all those negative emotions. So yeah, you can't, and the opposite would go too, which is when things are good, you can't necessarily, get overly excited or overly happy or whatever. Not to say you can't be happy and be grateful and be, content and all that stuff. But it's just, I think the level of how high you go or how low you go. I think my goal now is to sort of keep it in the middle and keep it a lot more neutral, a lot more in the middle, and less like ups and downs. Because the ups are great and that's awesome, but like the downs are where that voice comes in and like, picks on you and gives you a hard time and questions everything you did and what you said and how you look and how what people are gonna think about you. So that's all caused by basically putting a label on the situation, which in reality and the facts of the matter is there is no label on it. It is not positive or negative. It's just an event. It's just something that happened, and it is neutral, and it's not charged, and it's not good or bad. It's just something that happens, and I think if you can get there, you'd be a lot better off. So that's what I've been working on this week. Events are just events. So, the other thing that I wanted to say which was really helpful for me, which I've heard from a lot of people, is be an observer of your thoughts and be like so there's you, there's your thoughts, and then there's something like, that's like a third party that's like out there, that's observing everything and looking at everything. And that way you can separate yourself and you can become an observer of your thoughts. And if you have a thought, it doesn't necessarily like, oh, that's me. That's what I that's what I think. That's what I stand for. That's what's important to me. You don't have to jump on everything like that. You can just observe and sit back and like, huh, that's interesting. Why did I think that? I wonder what that means. I wonder why that, just like try to understand why you're having those thoughts and what's causing them, because something's causing them. Something's causing those thoughts. And if you understand what's causing them, then you can understand like why you reacted or why you think that way. So be an observer of your thoughts. I know it's kind of abstract and hard to understand, but there's your thoughts, and then there's like a third party. Their thoughts are always coming in, but there's something else that's like you, but detached from the situation and like an observer of the situation, and being able to look at the situation and not necessarily like get charged and revved up or revved down, either way. So try to be an observer of your thoughts, as hard as that might sound. Yeah, I was going to talk about the snow next, but I already talked about that in the top. So snow in April in New Jersey. It's a crazy world. And then finally, my last thought is coming off of the fact that events are neutral and they're not good or bad. We put labels on them. Is you can't get defeated. You can't get down. You can't get let these things pile up and beat you. You need to just stay resilient. You can't get defeated. You need to keep coming back. You need to, if you get knocked down, you get right back up and you come right back at them. So, like a boxer, a boxer gets knocked down. Oh, not really knocked out, but knocked down. They get right back up and come right back at the opponent right away and don't wait. So that's what it means for me, is like, if I get knocked down, I'm going to get right back up and come right back at you. And I'm not going to stop until I'm successful. And that's what resilience is to me. So, you can't let these things like defeat you and sour you and make you upset or not happy or question your own self-worth or anything like that. You just need to separate it and let these events happen and not necessarily try to control them as much. Just observe them and let them happen, and you'll be a lot more happy. I'm working on it, so hopefully it works for me. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye.